Hey, what's up? So I talked about roster potential for 2xKO before, but that was before I knew that there would be about 5 champions per year. Every season will have a new champion, battle pass, and more. Season 0 will last through the end of 2025. From then on, we're aiming for 5 seasons of 10-ish weeks a year, each bringing a new champion. Now for the champions already in, since I talked about this, we have Teemo, Warwick, and Caitlyn. Caitlyn's not in yet, but they already announced her. And with that, they said no more Arcane for right now. A little dodgy, but let's say who do I think will be in approximately by 2027 if they don't speed up from their planned release. So let's say 10 champions, right? Let's say this would be the top 10 from Arcane. And do I think they will actually miss out on this? I personally don't, but let's see what I think after this. Ruined King actually does have a lot of representation. Braum, Alawi, Yasuo, Ahri, right? I think Ruined King, because Viego needs to be in this game, but do I think he'll make it immediately? I think Viego should come out with a Soul Fighter event. I actually did give that some thought. I mean, obviously Harrowing, you know, a Halloween event would be cool, Shadow Isles and all that, but with how limited it is, I think Soul Fighter would make for a cool battle pass. Hopefully they add event modes, all that other stuff. My thoughts before the closed beta. The game is pretty different from the alpha, and they are talking about changing stuff again. They're talking about combo length and all this other stuff.
All right, so one other topic I want to talk about is combo length. Do they think it's too long? Is this the game that they're trying to make? And I wanted to answer that directly and say, combo length is far too long in our game, and we're actually actively working on addressing today. This is something we're gonna have to take multiple stabs at over time. So we want to make sure that ultimately this change not only reduces combo length, but keeps a lot of the things that y'all have told us that you really like about the game intact.
So there's other things I've thought about. In fact, right, let's make this tier Let's Talk. Let's make it Let's Talk because League has a lot of champions, and I'm not going to go through all of them, right? I will say somebody like Aatrox. Aatrox at the very beginning can go in Let's Talk. So this game doesn't have a Darkin, and that's odd. And when I think of Darkin, Aatrox is like the guy, right? But something that I'll keep in mind is that we also don't have, we don't have a lot of stuff. We don't have Void, Shurima, whatever, right? Demacia, and that's something to keep in mind. 2026 for League of Legends is the year of Demacia. So something that I thought about is, and I don't play League anymore, but this guy was Xayah
the Unsundered.
I hear about this guy, and that alone is pretty crazy. So he's connected to Xin Zhao's story and thus Demacia, right? I think with his kit, because his kit kind of looks like an Aatrox rework almost, right? I think him existing kind of opens up a door to make Riot not have to think too hard between, oh, there's a lot of champions, between Aatrox and Riven, who I'll just put in the top 10 right now. The only contention I think there would have been is that in League of Legends, the joke is that like, oh, Aatrox's rework is Riven 2.0.
This is why it's Riven. That's the first queue. That's the second part of your queue. And here is going to be the third part of your queue. Exactly like Riven, just a more upgraded version.
While I think they're definitely obviously different in lore, and that I think you could translate identity differently, I do think, you know, the backflipping sword moves, that's gonna look similar. But Riven, I think Riven, I've seen Box play her with a controller. I've seen Ross Boomsocks play her with bananas, right? Riven is like perfect unga bunga moving in and out. I think she'll have a cool air dash because of her E. I think Riven's pretty cool. I think Riven's obvious top 10. Okay, also immediately near the top and in Let's Talk is Akali. First of all, KDA. I think all of KDA will be in this game. Maybe not in the top 10 because that would be kind of crazy. But Akali, I think Akali is top 10. We don't have a ninja, and Akali just makes sense. KDA is like printing infinite money. Akali is in the top tier of people that have the most skins for sure. She fits well with modern day, with fantasy themes. Akali's gonna be in this game. And soon. Akali could be announced next for all I know. Akali's gonna be in this game. That one's easy. Ambessa from Arcane. Do I think Ambessa will be in next? I don't think so. She is after I stopped playing. I don't know as much about her. I've seen some of my friends play matches with her, and I've seen Arcane, but I don't think she'd be the one in the category of from Arcane that I think would make it in next. Annie goes in Let's Talk. Annie is super recognizable. Annie has been in this game since the beginning. Annie also has quite a bit of skins, and this game lacks puppet characters. I mean, puppet character as a cool archetype, that's tough. I might put her in top 10. I need to think about it more. Annie has a lot of representations in cinematics. Annie's lore, they're reworking, or they have reworked. Let me look at Annie's lore. It seems like they reworked her lore into being more important to League of Legends at large too. I think she has a lot of potential to be added as one of the first puppet characters. I don't know if I'll put her in top 10 just yet. She's one I need to think on and come back. Aphelios. Aphelios goes and Let's Talk. I talked about Aphelios in my first video too. Now that I've played more of the game and see the direction they're going in, I think he would be so cool as like, I guess you would call him a stance character. I want his specials to involve swapping to the weapons. And now that I know more of how skill 1 and skill 2 work, those don't have to be the base. Like the base skill 1 and skill 2 can still be his like Q activation, so to speak. And then like maybe down plus skill 1 and skill 2 can swap to them. And I think having them both be each option means you could pivot back and forth to kind of make his combos like, I think he would work out well with the freestyle option, maybe with the double assist option. I think Aphelios needs to be in this game because he would be like a cool kitchen sink kind of character and would have a lot of skill expression if you could path through the weapons. I don't know if they're thinking that hard about him. I'm not saying they're stupid, right? I think he has to be on their radar. He's also from Targon and we don't have anybody from Targon. I'm gonna leave him in Let's Talk for now and I'm gonna come back. He's not like immediately obvious to me. Ashe, I'm not gonna go this much in order. I just see a lot up in this top row. So Ashe, I think that's a Let's Talk. Ashe is super popular. I don't know if I would put her in top 10 yet. I really got to think about it because I got to think about who the other zoners are going to be so early. Because I think as a community, people will start to like echo some disdain for zoning. But I think for a team game, they have the opportunity to be one of the better like representation for zoning characters just because the ones that exist currently, which is only 2, like they just feel so different from each other and they have their own identity intact, and that is so good. And I think they can do something really well with Ashe, but I think I want to think about more of maybe a mid-range space control option because there's a lot of mages and stuff that I think would fit that quite well. Oh, whoa, wait, hold on. My bad. Blitzcrank is also in this game. My bad. Azir, there's another option for a puppet character. I think it would be cool if he could plant a stationary puppet character on the ground. I've talked about him before. Like maybe you can put it at different locations based on what you press, like maybe back special 2 or something, like maybe like back special, down special, or forward special can place it at 3 different fixed points on the screen. He can have like maybe another one that comes out as like the other special button, like during strings or something that he feels like doing. I don't know, but that also seems like maybe some kind of mid-range space control. Maybe he can somehow, maybe one of his supers could be the wall and he can like combo you off of it or something, or maybe characters that utilize wall bounces can synergize well with him. I don't know, but we don't have Shurima. He's a great option. I might circle back and put him in top 10. Camille is Arcane adjacent, right? I don't know how she didn't show up in Arcane. That's for another story. This isn't about that. I don't know. But I think there's something that can be said about her having her E in League of Legends where she can like hook onto the walls and stuff. I think that's a very cool, unique mobility option. If she doesn't have, say, air dashes, but can, let's say it's a special that can grapple past people, like she throws it out and it doesn't make contact with projectiles or whatever, and she can like pull and then maybe disengage early because it's a fighting game, you know, or she can zip back towards the wall and then dive down like a la Strider or something. I think she has some cool options for them to explore, but I don't think top 10. Elise is kind of interesting. Being a shapeshifter in League kind of opens up possibilities in 2XKO that sound appealing to me. I guess they would be like a more extreme take on stance characters, or even something like Ziku in Street Fighter V, like how he would swap between old and young, shapeshifter wise, Nidalee. So this will give me an excuse to go further down too. Nidalee, I think, is really cool because of her redesign. So Nidalee is another one of those that, I mean, would be a shapeshifter, but also her redesign from Legends of Runeterra is really amazing. I've talked about Runeterra before, but she also has another redesign for Wild Rift. This would also set some precedent of what would they port over for champions like that, who have like a larger scale redesign in their side projects. I prefer the Runeterra version over the Wild Rift version, but I prefer the Wild Rift version over the League version. We'll see, that's interesting. I'm not picturing top 10 though. Let me scoop up Janna while I'm looking at her and talking about that. So redesign wise, Runeterra, phenomenal. Janna has a lot of presence in League of Legends because she's never particularly bad, in my opinion. I haven't played in forever. Even when it's not like heal and shield meta, even when it wasn't like Ardent Censer, Athene's Unholy Grail, all that, even when it wasn't that, she has a place because she can like peel. She can get people off you, and movement speed is always nice, right? Now, how might that translate over into 2XKO? Blaze Blue has mechanics where you can manipulate screen position. I'm thinking Rachel Alucard and Tager. Maybe she can have something like Rachel where she like can push or pull you depending. Maybe that synergizes really well with like the trap characters. Maybe she can push and pull Teemo Shrooms, Jinx traps, whatever Caitlyn's gonna do. I think that works out well, and that would showcase her well as a support. I don't know how deep they're thinking about it, but that doesn't sound crazy, right? I think something like that could fit. Here's another one I already talked about. Ezreal. I think he would have unique mobility. I think he's super popular. I think he's a champion like Teemo that will have like very disrespectful rage baiting taunts. I'm gonna think about him. Dude is a skin magnet, right? Right next to Ezreal was Evelynn. I'll make another tier. I do think all of KDA will make it into this game. I don't know if she's gonna make it in immediately. I would think not. My mind's telling me no on that one. Gangplank is in Ruined King. He's not a party member, but he is like very story relevant. You know what? Gangplank is in Ruined King, but Misfortune is a party member. And I mentioned that Ezreal is a skin magnet. Misfortune is a skin magnet. Give me 1 second. Yeah, that's what I thought. Misfortune is the skin magnet, tied for first. She gets a lot of love from Riot. She has a bunch of short stories. She has a comic. She's in a lot of cinematics. Literally love scaling. Misfortune is in this top 10, 100%. Fiora, Year of Demacia, right? It's Year of Demacia, but she's not like Demacia! Makes sense to me. It feels like, ironically, 2XKO is kind of missing more generic rush down sword boys, you know? Obviously, Fiora could have, you know, riposte. That's huge part of her kit. I think Fiora would be interesting because it would have to make some of the, you know, the big slow hit people, Darius or Braum or something. Like, let's say you're fighting Juggernaut Darius and he's just like going really slow and just swing, headless. But maybe you're like a little anxious, like, I can't let that touch me. That sounds like something Riposte would handle really well. It'd be an interesting archetype. I think it would need to be a bit different from League. Obviously, it's a fighting game, right? But I don't know how active I want that to be. That's not for me to think about. I think she'd be cool. Don't necessarily think she's making it in. W, Riposte, right? Mel from Arcane actually has a shot to get in, if you ask me. That mid-range space control mage that I was talking about. This would be a good option for that. And her W also would function as a reflect. So especially since this game will have 3 zoners already, and I think the marksman archetype existing at all means that this game will have more. Okay, so there was a from Arcane. Let's get another Ruined King. Thresh is super cool. Thresh is kind of a fan favorite. The Mad Life compilations used to be really crazy. Thresh has a boss fight in Ruined King that's like very cool from an RPG standpoint. I like the way the mechanics work around his shield. Not the video for that. Thresh has an alternative to Blitzcrank's hook, and Blitzcrank is kind of this cool enabler because he's like a nice to have assist, right? I think Thresh can work in a very interesting way, especially when I'm thinking from the duo perspective. Like if his hook can stay in the champion for a bit, like in League, and have someone tag in, do some moves, and then tag back, and he like flays them at the wall and they tag back in. He's Ruined King, but since I have 3 women up here already, I want to put Thresh in top 10, maybe? You know, I'll leave Thresh there for now. We'll see how my opinion changes. That'll be kind of cool. So Heimerdinger from Arcane. Again, balancing isn't my job. I don't know how the turrets would function currently. I think that has to be a huge part of his kit. Teemo's Mushroom. So I know I initially said I wasn't quite sure if their post about no more Arcane for the time being was accurate. He might go up there. I'll have to think about it. Mel might go up there. We'll see. Let me grab some champions that I think is just like, I know the roster's small. Let's pretend the roster wasn't small. I'm just gonna grab a few champions that just make sense. Irelia. It's so crazy because I don't necessarily know what I would say moveset wise off the top of my head. A lot of it sounds like hits coming together. I'm not necessarily gonna give her a stun. You know what I'm saying? Another character that comes to mind because of stuff like that, Jax. It feels strange to not have Jax. Now, personally, besides his Counter-Strike, I'm not envisioning really well how I think I could translate him over. He would just have like solid animations, right? He'd have like dashing mobility. You know what? You know, pole arm mobility. Let's grab Wukong. I think Wukong having like some kind of clone element, or even if it's like a counter hit thing. You know how Yasuo has the Q poke, but it's like much longer in 2x KO? Or maybe it's not technically by translation, but it feels longer than League, right? If Wukong had maybe a reference to the pole extending being like a poke special, a lot of people just know of Wukong, whether it be through actual myth, through anime, you know, what have you. I think that would be a solid character. I don't think they're thinking about him though. You know what? I wondered if I was gonna keep Thresh, but thinking about it, right? Pyke would then be, if I'm right about Misfortune, Pyke would be the only party member missing from Ruined King, and they seem to be putting a lot of Ruined King into this game. I'm gonna move Thresh down for now. He might go back up. And I'm gonna put Pyke there. Pyke has an easy to translate moveset in my mind. Much like how I said Blitzcrank is an enabler with the pull, Pyke has something similar, right? His dash Like, that seems like something that would work well, would pair well in a team fighter. It seems like it could be a very ambiguous cross-up situation. Let's say his E dashes past somebody and then you have an assist coming out the other side. You know, I think he translates well. He's another Ruined King party member, or he would be the last one besides Misfortune. I think he's in. I think he's in for sure. Grabbing someone else who I feel like would be in this game, if the roster wasn't so small, is Katarina. Much like how I said Annie is like recognizable, I feel like Katarina has that going for her too. She's in a lot of cinematics. She gets a lot of love from Riot, a la Misfortune. I think she'd have unique movement. I'm picturing the spin as well. That sounds like a very good double down super, you know, do the spin, 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 and then tag in for super. She might go up in top 10. I just need to see what the rest of my thought process is. But Katarina, kind of surprising. Okay. Let me grab the Ruined King really quick. He's one of the ones I'm biased towards. I do want him in top 10 right away, but I need to think about it. I talked about Viego in my first video. He needs to happen. I don't know if he's gonna like transform into an enemy champion or maybe take part of their move set, but Viego has so many options. He's perfect. Like I said, he needs to be with a soul fighter event, and to that end, Samira, I'm just gonna put her in the top 10. Similar to how I was talking about Aphelios, the combo potential is crazy. The Smoke and Six style Devil May Cry thing, right? I think she's a solid hybrid of mid-range to rushdown. I think so many of the characters thrive in neutral, and when she slips into combo mode, I don't think she'll lose identity at all. I think she'd be perfect. She's also a big soul fighter, like puzzle piece, right? I think she's top 10. That just makes sense. I mentioned soul fighter as an event. I think that would work well with the battle pass. There are other skin lines that have had events within League of Legends itself. So looking at this roster, we have Jinx and Yasuo, who are in the Odyssey skin line. And Odyssey had a really fun PvE event. I think this game could benefit from some cool solo content. They want to make it like a Mortal Kombat tower kind of thing, or like a Labyrinth build on added effects kind of roguelite mode. I think looking at skin lines like Odyssey might open up some things there. Odyssey wise, Kayn I think would be really cool because he would be an install character. Now this game does like acknowledge installs. Echo has an install, Warwick has the blood mode, right? So kind of, sort of. I think him having supers of, you know, like Darken install, Shadow Assassin install, and then having updates to his base kit, right? That sounds like it would work out perfect in this game. But he'll go in Let's Talk for now. Whenever Odyssey event with Yasuo and Jinx, Kayn, that's a solid option. Some things related to the Ruined King himself. I think Gwen has a lot of options kit-wise, design-wise. I think Gwen would be great for some skins. I'm trying to use their thought process as well, but for another Yordle, also related, Vex. I was talking about mid-range. Vex also stops like some mobility, like Ahri. I've been playing a lot of Ahri. She has some really nice mobility options. Vi has some nice mobility options. Echo has like an extra jump. You know, I don't know. There's some characters that have movement. I mean, I assume Caitlyn's gonna have the net, right? If Vex can interact with movement in some way, the way she does in League, that would be unique for a game like this because that sounds really strong. But at the same time, this game doesn't feel, I don't want to say it feels unbalanced. That's the wrong word, but it feels more party-like than a fighter that's more structured. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. Let me grab another KDA. Kaisa seems quite likely. Like I said, all of KDA, I can just feel it. Easy skin target, easy money maker, etc. But something now that I've gotten a chance to play more of early access and not just alpha and beta, Teemo has mechanics that like enhance his slingshot his darts, or his mushroom. I could see something similar being done for Kai'Sa's Evolve. I'm not sure how I would implement that just yet, but she seems also like a marksman that would fit more of the mid-range. I mean, the W is long range, but I mean, if Darius can have a projectile, right? I could see her having the W still, but still being more of an up-close fighter. I could see it. Kassadin. Since we're talking about Kai'Sa, I think Kassadin, again, I'm thinking mobility. Kassadin has a cool legacy in League, you know, the Pyke thing. I think people think he's cool. Alongside Kassadin, Malzahar, I'm biased. I'm gonna put him in Let's Talk. I don't think he's making it now. I talked about him a little bit. Him as a puppet character is cool, like leashing the voidlings, the idea of that. But with how limited the roster is going to be, I'm not expecting him anytime soon. So Malzahar is like a bias. I mean, there's other characters I have that are a bias. Viego is a huge bias for me. Even Azir. Let's go anti-bias that I think would be cool. Veigar is actually my most banned champion when I did used to play League of Legends. It's not the damage, like, yeah, whatever, he can one-shot anybody, he can just blow their head off. I don't care about that. It's the fact that one haphazardly placed E could just ruin an entire game for you. He could just drop one in the middle of a choke point and it could ruin your whole team depending on who's inside and who's outside, right? If you can make it have like a cast time, but it still has that effect of if you hit the side of it, you stop moving. Even if, because I don't think it would be fair to completely stun you and leave you vulnerable, even if you like back into it and you're blocking, it would be cool if it made you maintain that position and then he got to try to put you in a cross up. I think that would have a lot of cool character identity for him. He also has the whole black mage thing going on. You know, I think he'd be kind of cool. Kinda rapid firing Lulu as another Yordle. I think Lulu is funny. Lulu is a very troll oriented character. I think if there were combo routes based around like the whimsy and then picks placement, like if you could opt to put picks on yourself or on an enemy, and when I say on yourself, if that's also an assist for her and she puts it on her teammate, so maybe like, you know how Vi is like doing the Mishima dashes mid combo, if picks like keeps them suspended a little bit and it's synergized, I don't know, you know, something like that, that'd be kind of cool. Oh, I've been talking about mid-range. I mean, this wouldn't be exactly zoning. I think that, you know, in a fighting game, I think he translates to close range mage. This is like the short range combo character mage, right? He's like a solid mascot. Dude is in a ton of cinematics. He very much feels like one of the huge League of Legends characters. There could be jokes too about the rework. That could be like a PvE mode. They give him a bunch of stupid buffs and you have to go through like a gauntlet, really challenging fights, something for like some kind of single player content with a leaderboard with community engagement, something like that, like Ryze rework mode. That could be kind of fun. Oh, Year of Demacia. Here's a unique one. Galio kinda naturally has moves that feel like they combo well in a fighting game kit. You know, the dash in uppercut feels like very standard for starting out a combo, right? I mean, I could picture him having interesting air mobility as well. I mean, he's like a big character, but it's like the way he moves in League and kind of like slams downwards, I'm picturing him being able to move more like Firebrand in Marvel vs. Capcom, not necessarily like that level of flight, but like the swooping and tumbling kind of motions. Kind of picturing some of that, but behind like a bigger hit. I said Demacia, let's knock this out too, because definitely top 10, it's crazy, but I think the binding sounds cool. Her E, being able to place something and then detonate it sounds cool for like a set play kind of thing if it hits OTG. I talked about how Akali and Misfortune are like skin magnets, right? Yeah, so is Lux. She gets a lot of love from Riot. She has a bunch of short stories. She has a comic. She's in a lot of cinematics. Lux is top 10, it is what it is. I have 6 out of 10. Let me keep looking at champions. I don't know if I'm gonna drag anybody up just yet. Let me keep looking. I'm trying to approach this with their thought process in mind because they've already shocked me a little bit. Like, what's up? Like Lee Sin? Lee Sin's a no-brainer for me, but that's because the roster is so small. Hui was in the game after I stopped, but I do know what his kit looks like. He has those spell books, and if that was bound to the specials, I think that could work. I don't know how popular he is off the top of my head, and there's nothing that's just like forcing him to the top in my mind. Like Briar, I also don't know. I think vampires are cool, but I don't know if there's anything that just like skyrockets her up. Vampires, I know he's not one, right? Vladimir, this is a personal bias, and by extension LeBlanc. They are story relevant. They're Black Rose, very interesting faction. It's kind of Arcane adjacent too, right? This isn't my thought process. I'm trying to match their way of thinking. I'm trying to see like who on this list just shoots up to the top. Because I also think someone like, she came in after I stopped too. Is it Nilah? Is it Nilah? I'm gonna go look.
Welcome to the Nilah Champion Spotlight.
Something that I found interesting about her is that it's almost like she just sits there and reads the lore pages.
Tobias Felix, you're a cheat and a bad friend, and I don't like you.
I know she's getting the information from the demon that she's bound to, but I really liked all her champion interactions. That matters way less in 2xKO and would matter more if they did another Ruined King style game. But I think she's cool. A melee marksman with like a whip and cool magic. I like her a lot, but I don't know how people feel about her. And I don't think she's like naturally super popular because I didn't hear like a huge boom like I did for this new Darkin, right? So that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying to think who I think that they think will be a nice person to go in. Okay, so I finished out from Arcane and the KDA tags. These two, Nico and Lilia, they have skins specific to TFT. That's kind of interesting because Nico, I could make an argument for Nico being in as well. I think Nico loses out on the shapeshifter aspect because she doesn't have the moveset of who she changes into, so that's kind of lost. Some of the gameplay elements I think could work out well. But looking at this lineup, because of the KDA tags, I would be more likely to think Seraphine. I'm looking at From Arcane as well, and you know, maybe they weren't lying. Like, who do I think would be most likely from this lineup immediately? See, Jason Victor, they made kind of weird, right? Well, I'm not here to talk about Arcane, but I feel like they made Jace, I don't know if people liked him as much as these characters that are already in. You know what I'm saying? And Victor, they made strange for the player base. Like, some of the player base is like, what is this? I know the Arcane base, I don't know, I think they like Victor, I don't know. So realistically, Mel and Heimerdinger makes the most sense to me. That's tricky. I'll come back to that. They may be telling the truth about no more Arcane. There's so many left, but it's getting trickier for me to just throw somebody in there and be like, yeah, for sure they're gonna make it. If the roster were bigger, something like Xayah Rakan. So for the initial video, like Xayah and Rakan, I couldn't necessarily think of what they could do synergistically that would be fair. If that makes sense, that would make them better to have as a pair than other champions. Like, I was thinking something like maybe their break gauge could fill up faster, or maybe the assist bar charges faster, like system mechanics or something. But I don't know, does that sound too unfair? It's kind of tricky because I don't want them to have unique moves. Like, I don't want Xayah to be mid combo and then Rakan like EWs onto the scene and knocks you off of her, right? Maybe if you can't convert off of that. Actually, maybe if he jumped in and saved her, he just like catches her and does a unique animation and then jumps out. I'd be okay with that. The tricky part is fitting them both into this roster as not one character slot. Like, for example, Jhin, right? Jhin is very popular. Jhin is very cool. But with Jinx and Caitlyn both, him being another 80 carry with like a trap and a sniper rifle, is kind of dodgy. Obviously, you could make Jhin uniquely artsy with the way his whisper mechanic works, but I don't think they would pick him. Not early, but he's cool and popular, so I think he could make it. That said though, someone like Mordekaiser, I could see, because this game does surprisingly have more big characters than I would expect. Blitzcrank, Braum, Alawi, Darius, Warwick kinda. Mordekaiser is huge for League of Legends. For the lore, I think that Fabled MMO is gonna be heavily based around him. He's relevant to the Black Rose, like I mentioned LeBlanc and Vlad. And anytime he pops up anywhere, Nakrit can turn 30 seconds into 30 minutes talking about him. That's how deeply woven into the lore he is. He might get moved up. I'm gonna have to think. Oh, I said big people and I thought about tanks. K'Sante as a tank has a very fighting game-esque kit to me. The way his movement and animations work, it kind of naturally has that fighting game flow when you're comboing with him. If he's a skill expression tank, them liking big characters and him already having animations that won't feel as wonky to me as Alawi's, for example, I think he fits in. I think Alawi's cool, but when she gets into the combo, a lot of her hits look very strange. And I think it's partially because at neutral, her kit is so unique, but that's because even though she's a juggernaut in League, she's played as if you're in spaced neutral. In lane, the E and the Q are huge, and you tend to not be too close to her as her opponent. There's other champions too, like Sett. If it weren't for Vi, I would have thought would have been in already. I guess I can't think like that because I wouldn't pick Caitlyn if Jinx were already in at this roster size. So how are they thinking? I don't know. See, I know Vi is different inherently because she has the dashes, and they added even more dashes to her moveset. So theoretically, he could be run off the wall and then RKO you as a regular move. But I don't know. While he makes sense, I don't think he's in. That's crazy. This is tough too because ADCs are popular. As good as they do with the zoners, I don't think they want to do that this early, just fill the list with them. I can't picture that. With how Teemo's basic light attack works, the darts, I think people like Lucian kind of oozes cool. I'm picturing Lucian having some crazy gun kata, gun fu, up close, really sick combos because he's gonna have mobility, right? Lucian has the dashes. You can see it in the cinematics. Lucian is moving. I mean, of course Lucian can work, right? But would they pick him? I mean, I guess it would go well with some of the Ruined King stuff. He wasn't in it, which is a little odd, but you know what? Maybe he would have been too good for it. Maybe he would have had more of the answers and would have been too good of a party member. Let's go with that. I mean, by the logic so far, Qiyana very much does work. The thing with Qiyana is I was overthinking her moveset before. I was thinking of a way to apply the elements that wouldn't be RNG to where you would not just press down special and it would give you a random one. But I was also trying to think of a way to make it balanced but still have the elemental properties. I mentioned Zetterburn. That's a character from Rivals of Aether, and he has fire damage over time that ticks. I could picture that being a thing. I don't think it needs to be like that. Teemo does have a dot that ticks. They've already thought about how to implement this, but maybe one of the special buttons could control all the elements. I personally really love Qiyana. Trust me, I want Qiyana in the game. Who's gonna make it, right? Silas, I mean, he's in a comic. He seems like he fits well. He also would be able to rip a move out of you. I don't know if it would be an ultimate, or I don't know if he would take a move and maybe it's one of your specials and it's on a cooldown. He thematically translates over really well. I don't know if he'd make it. This is hard with only 10, with only 10 champions. This is kind of tough. I don't know. What do you think? Another Ascended that's not Azir. Renekton. Like, I'm picturing him translate quite fluidly over to a fighting game. He also has a pool party skin. I mean, so do a lot of champions, right? That I haven't mentioned so far, but you know, by that same vein, so does like Lee Sin, right? Lee Sin's a big one. It makes no sense to me. You know, it makes so little sense that while I'm saying this right now, Lee Sin's going up the top 10. It makes so little sense that Lee Sin is not in this game that I feel like he's coming. And you know what? That makes it 7 that I think are going to be in the top 10. So what if I took one from each of these? Who would be next? Let's take Viego. He is a must. If Viego does not make it in this first top 10, I'm so confused. From the KDA tax, Kaisa. And then from Arcane, I was thinking Mel or Heimerdinger. Looking at the roster we have now, there's 3 zoners. Caitlyn is not in this game yet, but I'm counting her, right? There's 3 zoners, Mushroom Trap, the Chompers, and then Yordle Snap Trap. So maybe not Heimerdinger, since I think Mel's anti-zoning W makes a lot of sense. What if I say Mel from Arcane? So this would be my top 10. We can see how completely accurate or how way off base I was. What do you think? Who did I miss? Who do you think Riot would actually pick? Do you think I did a good job thinking like them? I tried. Let me know.